Ever had an experience with disembodied spirits or the paranormal universe? Are these subjects fact or fiction? Each week, Tony and Eddie explore these unbelievable realities and beyond. Exclusively on Truth Be Told.
Welcome back to Truth Be Told, where we believe an experience becomes truth. I'm your host, Tony Sweet, and joining me now in studio, world-renowned psychic Eddie Connor.
Hello, everyone.
We want to thank you for supporting our sponsors, Earth Friendly Products. For over 40 years, they've made Earth a safer, cleaner, and greener place to live with all their natural home cleaning products. Request them at your local grocery store and health food market. Learn more about Earth Friendly Products online at ecos.com. That's ECOS.com.
And take your mind on a literary journey by traveling over to adventuresunlimitedpress.com to purchase books from our famed experts featured right here with Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. And welcome our friend and today's co-host, Ellen Dostal.
I'm launching our paranormal show with a question. How do I know if my house is haunted? What is it haunted by? Is it dangerous? What should I do? Our first guest says you may not be alone and that demons, angels, fallen angels, ghosts, exorcisms, and hauntings are very, very real.
Author Geralyn St. Joseph has a reputation for offering strong, loving guidance to those who seek her advice. Her talents and experiences are varied, and she brings a bright, compassionate light to everything she does. A few of her books include Complete the Circle, The Path to Self-Empowerment, Psychic Self-Defense for Everyone, and 50 Ways You Can Change the World. But today, we're speaking with her about her book,
Paranormal Activity. What are you dealing with?
Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome author and psychic Geralyn St. Joseph.
Aloha.
She's here. Aloha, aloha. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I'm actually up in Maine at the moment, and it's not snowing.
Wow. Congratulations.
That's a miracle.
You're away from home.
It's supposed to snow in a couple hours, but it hasn't snowed for like 2 whole days. It's like springtime.
Well, it was only 90 degrees here today, just by the way. I know. Didn't mean to rub that in.
I used to do that to people when I lived in Hawaii all the time.
Right.
Now I know what it feels like.
I know. You're like, that's just evil, evil. Speaking of evil. No, I was kidding. Well, let's go ahead and get started because you have some interesting background with your books that you've written, and we're all excited to talk about, the paranormal, the ghost, the exorcisms, and I want to get started on where you got started into this journey, because we like to go back to the heart of when your gift was presented to you, and then you started presenting it to the world.
Well, I was born this way, and I feel that what I do is more of a vocation. It's a calling. It's not something that I learned. It's something I remembered. And basically, I started off like as a little kid, I used to see things and talk to things. My dad said I used to talk to Gabriel's my guide, Archangel Gabriel, and he would hang out with me. And Daddy said I used to play with him in my crib all the time. And so he's always been around. But what got me into doing the more extensive ghost clearing, exorcisms, and that type of thing was when I was in my early 20s in 1994, giving my age away a little bit. I had a friend who was in college, and she moved into a new dorm with another girl, and they were having all kinds of weird experiences, and the girl who was staying with her was really getting scared. She was very frightened. Like the window would close, the television would change stations, they would go to bed, all the lights would be off, and then all of a sudden all the lights would come on. Wow. And different things. And it was an older house, so some of it could be explained, but a lot of it couldn't. And it was only their room, and things only tended to happen when my friend wasn't there. So it seemed to center on this other girl. And they knew I was sensitive, and so they asked me to come and check it out. I dreamt about it before I got there, and it turned out to be, over the course of 3 days, my friend actually underwent a possession.
Oh.
And it was a ghost. It wasn't a demon. So it wasn't anything that was trying to hurt her, but a ghost wants a body. and a lot of times they don't think of themselves as dead. Like that was in The Sixth Sense, that was an excellent depiction of what a ghost goes through.
Geralyn, can I ask you a question about that? What tipped you
Sure.
off that there was a possession happening?
Well, her entire demeanor changed. At one point, her eyes changed from brown to green.
Oh.
Wow.
That was a biggie. And her voice changed. Her eyes changed. Even before they changed color, they changed like shape almost. And just what she was saying to me, because she started off being herself, and she's a very strong female. And then she said, I feel like it hit me first. It was to try to get in me first. And I just felt overwhelmed, like I was going to burst into tears. And I said, I will not cry. And immediately it was gone.
So
And then she said, oh my God, I feel like crying. And I said, well, then cry, which was the wrong thing to tell her, apparently. I didn't know that at the time. And that's how it entered. And she just got hysterical and then just fell apart in my arms. And over the course of the next 3 days, the ghost was in and out of her. So it didn't stay in the entire time. And we figured out that the longer the ghost was in her, the weaker the body became, because a body cannot sustain two life forces at the same time. It gets weak. And I was consulting another psychic at the time who gave me a lot of misinformation.
Oh.
But enough accurate information that it was kind of helpful. Whatever it didn't feel right to me, I just prayed about and asked Gabe what I needed to do and what was really going on. Because the ghost was a girl who had committed suicide when she was 19, which was the same age as my friend was at the time. And of course, everybody asked was like, oh, if you commit suicide, you go to purgatory or you go to hell, and it's 900 years, and this, that. And I'm like, where do you get this information? Like, how do you know it's 900 years?
were you able to
Spirit-
figure out what the spirit wanted?
Well, basically, she wanted to tell her mom that she didn't mean to do it, that it was an accident, that she really did not mean to commit suicide. She was so sad. The problem with that is her mom had been probably dead about 50 years at that point.
Oh.
So a lot of ghosts, even though they may think they're hanging around for a reason, really aren't, because by the time they find somebody who can speak to them, it's way past.
Yep.
Wouldn't
being
she
able to
know
do
that her
anything
mother
about
was
it.
already
Well, that's
passed,
what I was
though?
going to say. Shouldn't she's like, hey,
No.
Mom, you're over here now, you know?
Well, no, because they're not in the same place. Apparently, you did not read the book.
I know, right?
Because ghosts are on a different plane than spirits who have crossed over.
Right.
A ghost has not crossed over, so they have not rejoined with source, and they are not rejoined with their loved ones. They are completely cut off, and it's really, really sad. And that's why I won't, if I find ghosts anywhere, I stumble across them, I cross them. I don't allow them to languish there. Like, people treat them like pets or act like, oh, I have a ghost in my house, like it's a cool thing. And that's a person in torment. I see it differently than most people.
So since this was the first time you had experienced this, what did you do to help assist that ghost in transitioning?
Great question.
What did you do in that circumstance?
Well, with her, and with a lot of them, they are resistant to crossing over. That's how they got stuck in the first place, because she really thought she was going to hell. So in the beginning, we did a meditation to ask Spirit, like, what happens to her? Because I didn't know. And she basically, and she was the only one in the circle, her and the girl she was possessing saw what they perceived as the face of God, the face of Jesus, and then the face of God. So it was a young man, and then it turned into an older man. And she felt like all this compassion and love. And then she still didn't want to go because she was still afraid. So I ended up having to push the body out of the soul. And
You mean the soul out of the body?
yeah.
We went with you, though. We knew what you meant.
We knew, yeah.
You knew what I meant, yeah. I'm dyslexic, so expect that.
You and me both, girl.
Yeah.
So how does one, if this was your first encounter, how does one perform that procedure of pushing that soul out, or the soul out of the body?
Read Anne Rice, The Tale of the Body Thief.
Oh.
Really?
I had read that book in July, and this all occurred in September. And in
What
the
timing.
book, Lestat has to get his body back.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to push another soul out of his body. And I don't remember the names at this point, but they go through exercises as how to do this. So while I'm reading, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. I was just playing with it, and then I had to use it.
The
Same
universe was
thing
like,
happened
okay.
when I learned CPR.
Yeah. The universe came back to you quick.
Yes. It was like, oh, I'm glad you read that. Yeah, exactly.
So was this something that once you did this, you're like, this is my life purpose from that point on?
Once I realized how much suffering there was occurring, and then they started coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'd be driving in my car, and the next thing I know, my car would be full of people. And they'd all be telling me stories and stuff, and I'd have to cross them over. And they started coming to me. So it was pretty apparent. And following that, what ended up happening was there was a demon involved that was sent after me by the psychic that I was working with to try and help this girl.
Oh, okay. So you helped this young lady and you pushed the soul out of her body and you had this wonderful experience, but then the psychic who had given you misinformation previously sent a damn demon after you.
Yep.
Girl.
Yeah, because I would not join her coven. It sounds like a soap opera.
It does.
It does.
But it's true.
So
Yeah.
what? Okay, so now a demon's obviously a much denser, darker, scarier energy than the ghost that just jumped in the girl's body. How did you then deal with that?
That was really cool too, because I had met a woman.
I don't know if I would use cool, but for me anyway.
Interesting. It was an interesting chain of events. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
There was a woman I was working with someone who did what we call metaphysical jewelry. She did gemstones. I got this from her in 1995. And when I was working with her, I was learning about gemstones and everything. So we were looking for different stores to sell our products in and whatever. And there was an ad. I called the woman who was the owner of the store. It turned out to be a woman from Jamaica who was amazing. Her name was Renee. And we talked on the phone for like 3 hours, but she was closing her store. So that seemed to be a dead end. About a month and a half after that was when I had this demon trying to kill me, was doing things to my car and stuff like that. Never got very far because of the way I react to things, but that's a whole nother thing. And then she just happened to call me and she's like, the spirits tell me I have to tell you how to do a reversal. I'm like, okay, what's that? And then she explained to me how to, when something's being sent towards you, how to reverse it back to the person who's sending it. So I followed her instructions and it worked very well. And unfortunately, the woman who sent it towards me protected herself, but did not protect her loved ones. So when I sent it back, I guess she wasn't expecting me to figure that one out. What ended up happening was her mother died and her husband almost died. That's how powerful it was what she sent towards me.
That's crazy. And so
Yeah.
are you a believer in like the cocooning yourself with white light or putting yourself in the glass white light elevator and that sort of thing, Geralyn?
I do a lot with the white light, yes. I also use the blood of Christ, which is very powerful.
Wow. Now, I would like to, if you don't mind, so one of your books is called Paranormal Activity. What are you dealing with? And a question a lot of Tony's fans have been asking about before you came on the show is, if you sense something in your house, how do you tell if it's a ghost versus a spirit, if it's a poltergeist versus a spirit guide or angel? How can you break it down for us, Geralyn, so that we sort of have an idea? If the cabinets are flying open and closed and your TV is popping on and off, that's not an angel, is it?
I'm sure there's
Not
demons
generally.
and stuff that actually disguise themselves too.
Well, and there's all different, I am taking notes and I'm in the process of writing a book specifically on demons, the different types that you come across, because there are shapeshifters who will pose as somebody in the house or someone that you know or a dead loved one and appear to you. And all right, so a ghost is a person without a physical body. Most of the time, the only thing that they can really affect are like lights and electricity. Those are easy things for them to affect. A ghost can turn into a vengeful spirit, which is a ghost on steroids who's angry all the time and who's very upset either about being dead or something you're doing in the house. And that gives them more energy because emotion is what the energy travels on, basically. It's what makes it thicker. So they can do a little bit more. So like Mary, the original ghost that I was dealing with, she would open and close the window because she could vibrate the window enough for it to close.
Right.
Every once in a while she could shoot something, like knock something down, but it took a lot of energy for her to do that. And that was only when she was really upset and when she felt like she was being played with, like she was a toy. She did not like that. Like they tried to use a Ouija board, different things like that, and she was like, she got really upset
no.
about that.
That's scary.
I do not play with that.
Geralyn, why do you think these ghosts or spirits follow some people but not others? Because I'm sure, Tony, your people would want to know, well, if I've got one around me, what do I do about it?
Right.
But what
And
do you
why
think
me?
attracts them?
And why me?
Yes.
Everybody's got something around them. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't have something around them. It's whether you're aware of it or not.
You mean something good or something bad or both?
Either or, yeah. There's stuff everywhere. It's everywhere. I mean, we live in an interdimensional place. We're in the 3D. There's 4D. I mean, scientifically, there's been proven that there's 27 dimensions or something like that. So there's all kinds of stuff, and we're just layered on top of each other. It's just that some people are more in tune with what it is and noticing things, and other people are not. I mean, I've walked into a house where people are like, oh, there's nothing here, and like there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on, but they just keep writing it off and ignoring it. And even people who have had very severe occurrences, as they move away from the occurrences, as time is between them and what happened, they begin to disbelieve it, because that's a function of our brains and our mind, is to protect ourselves, and we do it through denial very often.
Do you think they're following the people, or do you think they're sometimes following the place?
Oh.
It depends. Most ghosts, like people think that they're trapped in a place. They're not. They're trapped on Earth. They stick to a place because a place doesn't change that much. If you think about even the last 10 years, think about your neighborhood. How much has it changed? How much have the cars changed? Now think about your neighborhood in the last 100 years. How much has it changed?
A lot.
And if you're out there and you're trying to convince yourself that you're still alive and that everything is still okay, you're not going to be able to do that if you're out in the world and you see it. Whereas if you're just in a room and you see the wallpaper changes and maybe the TV comes in, the TV changes, it's not as big of a deal. You know what I mean?
It's like 1700s to now.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have people also who a person will get haunted, where a ghost will attach to them, either because they can sense them, because the person looks familiar to them, or they feel comfortable in that person's energy. So if somebody is a very loving person and their energy is real big and it's warm and welcoming, they'll come and sit in that energy, because the same reason why people like to sit in that person's energy. Or if the person is similar to them too. Now, another thing is if people drink or do drugs.
Oh, child.
And nicotine is a drug, but when you do drugs, you do partially separate your soul from your body. And you know, like when you start getting drunk and you feel like your eyes are about here, your soul's separating, and it's real easy for something to push you out. So for people that you know who have blackouts or their personality changes very dramatically when they drink, that's not them. A lot of times that's something entering them and utilizing the body, because the person is basically welcoming them in.
And Geralyn, a great example of that is in the movie Ghost, when Patrick Swayze's character Sam Wheat is trying to learn to manipulate the other side, and he gets on a subway train that's the accidental territory of a negative entity, right?
Yeah.
Where that one was operating off of cigarette smoke and alcohol and the sort of vices that humans have. He was functioning off that, while Sam was functioning off love for Demi Moore, honey.
Yeah.
So have you dealt...
Exactly.
What's the most dramatic? Because, you know, reality TV is here, and people even listening to this, we love hearing about the benevolent things, and we love learning the difference between ghost and poltergeist and that sort of thing. But have you ever had what they would call like the movie The Conjuring, or some type of an experience like that where, you know, just stuff was flying across the room and like you were on a ride at the fair or something?
Well, Okay, I will not watch The Conjuring.
Oh,
Really?
no.
Conjuring, The Exorcist, I have not watched. My daughter did watch The Conjuring. She said she felt that it was very accurate. Um, I have seen people get tossed across the room. In fact, the first time when I reversed that demon, when he came, I had the girl who I depossessed or helped with the possession. She had abilities after that, and we were together trying to do a reversal on the demon. And because Mary came back and let us know what was going on, she was the one who warned us that there was a demon trying to kill me. And we were standing there, we were holding hands, and we started the reversal, and we felt it coming. You know, like in the movies, how they make it like a train, or like there's a T-Rex coming.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. It was like, like this rumble. And then you could see it come in the window because the curtains went flying, but the window was closed. And the curtains went flying, and my hair went like this, and my friend went flying across the room into the wall. And all I got was this. That was as much as it. I mean,
I don't
have
drink,
no
but I
idea
think I would have drank
what
after
the
that.
difference was. I assume from what I learned later that what the difference was that I was not afraid.
Right. Well, and you probably had shielded yourself also.
Well, we did exactly the same thing.
Oh, well, girl, her shield was low.
Yeah, the
Her
difference
battery
is
was-
faith.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
okay.
feel that that's the difference. I have absolute and total faith that Spirit and Gabriel are there with me and they protect me no matter what is going on. I have absolute faith that I am safe and that there's nothing anyone or anything can do to me while they are with me.
So
And
there's
they're with me all the time. So
then would you say there are levels of possession, like a really mild possession, or like there's this person I read for, and I'm not kidding, and it doesn't happen a lot in readings, but one of the things that has not regularly, well, it has, that has come through about the person she's involved in is I'll keep seeing, and I call him Larry the Lounge Lizard. And it's an entity that always attaches to this particular person when he's drinking a lot, excessively, doing an enormous amount of pharmaceuticals with the drinking, and then his other extracurricular addiction, which I'm not going to say on the air. But when he is in the full throes of that, he literally loses time, space.
Wow.
He has no concept of what it is whatsoever. And he can't remember one thing from the next minute to the next minute. And I can clearly see in my mind's eye when he's in that place that there is this, I called the being, Larry the Lounge Lizard, that is operating off of his body. And I've seen it maybe 6 or 8 times in the last 20 years. And, of course, he doesn't want to hear anything about it. But
well, and then they don't want to give up their vices either.
there you go. That's it
And
right
then
there.
they'll blame it on us. Well, you didn't get rid of it. I got rid of it. You called it back.
There you go. Oh, God. Is there such thing as an ice cream poltergeist? Tell me no.
Sugar.
I know.
Jerry's.
Yeah.
Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah,
Poltergeist.
please tell me that the poltergeist for sugar are like little gnomes and pans and fairies.
With bright colorful clothing on.
Yeah, like sprinkles on cupcakes. Bring them on.
Yeah. Well, it's when something becomes a compulsion. There's something on you. And there's different levels. Like it usually starts out with an obsession or a compulsion where you have like a little gremlin or a gnat. I've been naming them different things. Like there's wasps, there's gnats, there's gremlins, there's imps. Oh, imps are, but it's like a little monkey on your back, whispering in your ear, eat it, eat it. You got to get it. And when we talk about these things, how true is that? My mother always said everybody has their demons. And I always thought it was, well, everybody's got their vices or whatever. Well, I've been doing a lot of clearings lately, a lot. And I don't mean to go into it as an exorcism, but 8 out of 10 turns into that. And I don't know whether things are getting worse right now, like the veil is thinner or what's going on, but
I've
it
noticed
seems
too.
that almost everybody you're around, there's something. And a lot of times it's really deep.
Yeah.
So when you go to pull it out, it's not easy, and the person feels completely different afterwards. It's very interesting.
This is a sincere question. I am not even being silly or funny or any of that stuff. I'm completely serious here. In the beginning, when you first started seeing these things, not Gabriel, but these other entities in the dark side, did you flip and think you were going crazy?
I was going to ask the same thing.
I'm serious, because I did. I thought I was going crazy when it was happening to me as a kid, when I would see scary things, not the pretty ones, but the scary ones. I thought I was losing my mind.
I always saw a variety of things, and I always just thought everybody saw it.
I did too.
It never really dawned on me that everybody didn't until I was an adult.
And
They're like, what?
Yeah, and that, did you, Ellen, because you're very psychic too. Ellen and I do readings for each other all the time. She's very talented. And I forgot what I was going to say.
Seeing things.
Whenever we saw things, we're all psychic, especially the three of us, the three girls in the room. Hey, Geralyn, me, and Ellen. And I thought everybody saw it and everybody had the same experiences, but I couldn't understand why nobody would talk about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just we all know it. We all know what the reality is. Why isn't anyone talking about it?
Well, I think a lot of people did see it, and people don't talk about it because it scares them.
Yeah, well,
and because they're ridiculed when they do.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what's cray, girl? Let me tell you. Now, I grew up in the South, in the Bible Belt, or probably the Buckle. It was North Carolina, and I had a grandma, and she did an exorcism on me when I was in the 4th grade because I had an allergic reaction to something that I ate. I asked my mama what it was. She said, "Well, you ate every damn thing. I don't know what it was." And she took me to grandma's, and then to go buy some pajamas and get stuff for me to spend the next 2 or 3 days in the hospital. So grandma decides she's going to get Lord Jesus Christ, her Savior, to come in and get the 3 demons off my shoulders she was describing in detail. I had 2 on my right shoulder, she said, and 1 on my left shoulder. And then she went and got the holy water, and then she just went cray on my ass. Now, she said if she was successful with the demons, then I wouldn't have to go to the hospital. And so Mama came and picked me up and took my ass to the hospital. And I remember thinking in the 4th grade that now I'm going to have to be in a hospital on the children's demon ward, where I truly believe this, where they all had demons that nobody could get off of them. I seriously believed this at the time, but Grandma spoke about those little boogers in great detail.
So did you feel better after she did the exorcism, or what happened? Or do you think Grandma was just...
Grandma was crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. No, Grandma, I'm a 3rd-generation psychic, so my grandma, this grandmother, my mother, and myself, all really, really psychic. And I knew she saw it. I could see in her eyes that she was looking and communicating with something on me. I knew that for a fact. But when she started talking in tongues and started, seeing stuff up above her and some scary stuff, then I shut down. But no, I didn't feel better after it because I felt like I let her down because I wasn't doing something right to help her get the demons off of me.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
But I'm fine now.
Do you need a tissue, Eddie?
See, now I see mostly, I'll get images in my mind's eye, but I see flashes of light. I see colors. Every so often I'll see figures. I don't see full figure apparitions very often. They'll pop up all of a sudden to, boo, to scare me. Which is funny because I have a friend, Psychic Jen in Hawaii, Jen O'Neill, and we'll be standing there talking, then all of a sudden something will pop up, in between us, but to my left side, it's just pop up and pop back down. Just be like, yay.
Yeah,
and I'll jump and she'll jump and she'll be like, I hate it when they do that.
Yeah, I don't like it. I asked them point blank. My mom passed away in January, and I point blank said, "Don't you scare me." and so far, the only thing she has done is in the middle of the night, literally, I'm laying in the bed, I'm finally falling asleep, and I hear literally like an inch from my head. And I bolted up in the bed, and it was 3 in the morning. And I was like, Mama said not scare me. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Truth Be Told
with Tony Sweet.
I'm Eddie Connor.
And I'm Ellen Dostal.
And we're talking with Geralyn St. Joseph. Now, she's got a few great books out there. We're right now talking about paranormal activity, and we're trying to find out what we're dealing with. And you're breaking it down quite lovely, Miss Geralyn.
Thank you.
We got some ghosts. We got some like a little vengeful ghost. Now you spoke about some little demons and poltergeists. Will you give us a little Reader's Digest conversion chart of what the little negative bugaboos are over there that we need to be watching out for if our cabinet door flies open, or if we see a flash of light like you were speaking about?
Well, okay. So negative entities generally will not do the flash of light thing. They would rather, if you're not going to be scared of them right off, they'd rather you not see them. And they tend to be more visible when you're halfway between sleeping and awake, because you're most vulnerable at that time. About a month ago, I'm laying in bed, and I always sleep like with my hands like on my solar plexus. I don't know why, on my back, like I'm ooh. And I just felt this thing coming at me towards my left, and it was like this hooded figure, and it was coming all menacing and everything. And I felt pressure on my hands, like it was going to pin me down, it thought. And I bolted up, I grabbed its hand like on me, like you would if somebody was attacking you. I don't know if you guys know karate or whatever. I
watch
do
WWE.
a little bit of martial arts.
I used
But
to.
you grab them to take control of the situation. So I grabbed it and I popped up and I put my face right next to its face, and I was like, I will F you up. And it just went and then backed out of the room.
Wow.
I
haven't
would
had
too.
problems
It scared
since.
me.
That would freak me
Yeah,
out.
but
And then in the
yeah, it
ethers,
was like, I just don't react the same way that most people react. And I really believe that it's because
your
this
face.
is my vocation. It's what I'm supposed to be doing. So Spirit instilled in me whatever my reaction needs to be to whatever it is I'm dealing with.
Something you said at the beginning of our interview, because I grew up in a house in Granola, Kansas. We talked about it here before. When I was a young child, I used to see an old man in my house. And years later, I stopped, as I got older, I stopped seeing him. Years later, my nephew was in the house with his mother, and he said, "Mother, look at that old man sitting in the chair." And she was like, "What old man?" And then she remembered me saying about when I was a child. So when you said he was a tortured soul, like you said, it is kind of cool to say, yeah, I grew up in a house with a ghost in it. What is somebody, he's not a demon, he's not a, no possessions that ever happened. So what can we do as just normal folk that are not trained in helping souls? What can somebody like us do to help these souls move on?
I have online an audio of me doing the white light meditation.
Yeah.
And if you do it and you follow the way I have it up, and I'm going to do one specifically for ghosts, but this one works too. It creates a portal and it will suck them up.
Oh, it will.
Oh, wow.
It will take them, yeah, and clear the area.
It makes sense when you say that they're tortured souls, and you after you think about it, you're like, yeah, that's not really something I would want to go through.
Could you imagine waking up and
No.
all of a sudden nobody can hear you, nobody can see you, you can't
Yeah.
affect anything?
No.
I can't think of too many things that would be worse than that.
Maybe one day at home on a weekend, but not not eternity.
You live alone.
Yeah, no, I do. And I probably always will. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome. What is your web address?
GeralynSt.Joseph.com.
Perfect.
GeralYN.
Right below her picture.
GeralynSt.Joseph.com.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. Great. Tony's already got it posted up there.
And this, actually, you're talking about the white light, and this also brings me to another question. Again, my grandfather back in the 60s, he died in the hospital, saw the white light, went through the light, saw the field, saw his mother. The mother said, my great-grandmother said, "It's not your time," went back. So I'm trying to figure out, how do people, like you said, die and just wake up? There has to be a reason, or does there have to be a reason to become a ghost? Because why aren't they walking through the light? Is it always
You become a
reason?
ghost because you're afraid.
Oh, okay.
That is the number one reason. I mean, I've had friends who are murdered.
Mm-hmm.
And generally before you die, your soul knows it's coming. So your soul will tie up loose ends. I unfortunately know quite a few people who have been murdered over the years. I'm from South Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
And like that explains it.
I'm like, oh,
I know,
yeah,
I
sure.
Rough neighborhood.
Yeah, right.
Oh, God.
But if you look at what they did the last couple of weeks that they were alive, they'll do things that are unusual, or they'll talk to people they haven't spoken to, or they'll make amends with someone. Like they do things that are out of the norm in order to make things better for when they're passing. And those are the ones that will cross right over. So I don't believe that tragedy creates ghosts. I believe that fear creates ghosts. Every ghost I've ever come across has become a ghost because they're afraid of going to hell, or they're just afraid. Or they think they have to stay behind because they're afraid their loved ones cannot exist without them. So like one of the first ghosts that I cleared that I was called in to do was an older gentleman who went back to take care of his wife. Well, his wife died at the hospital. She crossed right over, and she's probably like, hey, where's Harry? James was his name, actually. Where's James? And James was still at the house for another 20, 30 years until I came along. So
now okay, ghosts that stay here are out of fear, but do you or can spirits, souls, come back from the other side?
yes.
Okay. Could you explain the difference?
This is what I find interesting. In all the years that I've been doing this, for some reason, even though a ghost can come back, not a ghost, a spirit can come back and forth, and a spirit can bilocate because they're part of the Godhead now. They're part of the all that is. So they're more expansive. They don't realize limitation the way we do. So they can come back and communicate. They go into your dreams. They might appear in your house. They might bring you a message, that kind of thing, drop pennies in front of you. For whatever reason, they cannot retrieve a ghost. If they have a loved one who got stuck, there's no way for them to open a portal for them. I don't know why.
Can they hold the space, whether they can get them over there themselves or not, but can they hold the space like you and your friends did in the beginning of the show when you were describing with Mary?
They can help them once the portal's open.
Okay.
But if there's no portal, I'm losing my headset here.
Uh-oh.
If there's no portal that's created for them, they can't, there's no way for them to do it on their own. And I don't know why.
Is there a difference between the spirit and the soul? Coming, like if a human passes away and of course their soul goes into the light, let's say it's a very peaceful passing, and so that soul is, are you referring to the soul and the spirit as the same sort of energy coming to visit some of the people on the earth plane and then sort of popping back out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because although when you're physical, there seems to be a difference between the soul and the spirit. There's, when they're rejoined, it's all one piece. It's like being a wave in the ocean. You're still part of the ocean.
Well,
You have the crest of the wave and the back of the wave, but it's
Right.
still all just part of the same wave.
What if you're a jellyfish?
I have a question. What if you're a person who doesn't even believe this is possible?
Oh,
You know,
good
because there are a lot
question.
of skeptics in the world.
Yeah.
What would you?
I've met skeptics who are ghosts.
You met skeptics
Because
who are
when
ghosts.
the time comes, then they get really scared. Oh my God, I never prayed, and here's these beings here to take me somewhere. Where am I going?
Well, that's an
What is happening
That's
here?
interesting,
And run
though.
the other direction.
What you just said about I never prayed. There are people here that practice different faiths and different religions and different spiritual paths that don't pray, that don't believe in heaven or hell or in God or the devil. Does that mean they're not open to these kinds of possessions? It wouldn't happen for them, or I mean, how would you respond to that?
No, it doesn't. No. It's
know
just
what?
like saying, okay, I don't believe in trucks, so I'm going to stand in the middle of I-95, and the truck won't hit me because I don't believe in trucks. I'm going to put my back to the highway, and I'm not going to get hit by this truck. It's there. I've seen people of all kinds of faiths, and different people explain it in different ways. They call it different names. And the way we view God, like I don't view God as this old man in the sky who's going to open his arms and everybody goes to him. To me, God is everything. God is spirit, and it's energetic, and it's everywhere. We're all parts of that. Although I was raised Catholic, and I've studied many of the world religions, including Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, ancient Egyptian. So what is these things exist in the universe, regardless of what you call them or what you think they are. They exist.
So if a person doesn't believe in life after death, or that there is anything after death, this technically in their frame of reference wouldn't be possible. But you're saying
It
that
doesn't
it
matter
is.
whether they believe it be possible. It's like, okay, if you didn't believe it be possible for you to win the lottery and your mom bought you a ticket and that ticket won. You didn't think it was possible, but you won. So now you're there, you're sitting there and you won the lottery. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and what I think I'm getting from Ellen and you in this conversation is it doesn't matter what the human thinks as much as a human being with a soul living in its body. Once the soul leaves the human and the human body is dead, then the soul goes back into pure positive energy. So they're going to be more open to that realm. They're back in the ocean now. They're not just standing on the beach. So
Right.
their beliefs will expand with what their soul believed, regardless of what the human belief was when they were physically alive on the earth plane in a meat suit.
Right. And we all are here to push at each other for growth. We're like experimenting with each other and playing different roles. And from what I have experienced and from what I've seen, talking to my clients, doing past life regressions with people, and knowing a lot of my own past lives, we play every part. At some point, we were a skeptic. At some point, we were bad. At some point, we were good. I mean, we put those labels on things. But I can remember being a general in an army that was just horrific. I mean, the things we did was just awful. And I remember that. And I own it because I know it's part of what makes me me now. I also remember being a ghost, which I'm sure is something that not a lot of people can say. But I remember being a ghost. I remember killing myself and realizing, uh-oh, what do I do now?
Who helped you?
Yeah, and
My daughter.
Really?
And she's my daughter in this lifetime. She actually pulled me through when she died.
where was this lifetime at, and what were the circumstances around this suicide?
I may start crying, so just be prepared.
It's okay.
I'm thinking it was, there were not a lot of cars. I believe it was around New Orleans in Louisiana somewhere. I remember the Mississippi and it being hot. And I remember my husband was half black and half white, and I was a white woman. And although we were very educated and fairly accepted by our neighbors, there were people who were very prejudiced against us. And we had two daughters. And my one daughter was a teenager, and she was only like 13 years old, and she was walking home from school, and these boys basically tortured her, raped her, and beat her to death. And a year after her death, I just couldn't get over it. I couldn't get past it. Even though I had a younger daughter who was 4 or 5 years old, and that was my daughter Delana now. And I just remember my husband was so angry at me. He kept saying, "You have another child. You need to just get over it." And it was like, how do you get over something like that? So I went up into the girl's room, which we had not changed since the day she died. And there were some toys on the bed, and there was this window that was up, and it was like octagonal. And I remember putting the pistol in my mouth and shooting, and hearing the glass crack, and watching as my face was coming towards the pillows, and thinking as I was going down was like, oh no, what am I going to do now? I made a mess.
Yeah.
I'm hurt and I'm not dead. And I remember having my hand over the hand of these women ran upstairs to try and clean things up as my husband got home, and they're trying to keep my daughter downstairs. And I remember trying to wipe up the blood and feeling the back of my head, and there not being anything there. And walking down the steps and hearing my husband speaking to my daughter, telling her that I was not going to be back. And my daughter's like, "Mommy's right there. What are you talking about?" And from that point on, I stayed with her. I realized I was a ghost when I went into the kitchen and somebody was knocking on the door. I opened up the door, and there was this man in a like Civil War uniform, or like some kind of a war uniform, military uniform of some kind. But he was caked in ice. And he was shivering, and I remember thinking, why is he shivering? It's like July. And I let him in, and I realized then, oh, wait a second, he's dead. That must mean I'm dead too.
Wow.
So And then I remember my daughter being in the hospital and dying and just grabbing me as she went up. And that's how I crossed.
That is wild. So speaking
Yeah.
of family, how was it being raised by a psychic mom? Like Billy Bob Thornton's mother is psychic. And he would say stuff like, it was really hard to sneak out in the middle of the night with a psychic mom.
We just didn't do any of that. Our last name's St. Joseph. I mean, really?
Yeah.
We didn't do any of that stuff.
But we know
None
the
of us
meaning of your
drank.
first
None
name.
of us, did any of that. We're very, very good children.
She has a big
My
smile
mom is
on her face.
probably listening.
I know.
Right,
I love
right.
that.
Yeah. But my mom was cool because, like, when my brother and I would see stuff, we'd be like, Mom, there's two guys up here and they keep walking past the door and looking at me. And she's like, they're not bothering you. Just go to sleep.
Yep, don't bother them. They won't bother you is what Grandma
Yeah,
would say
that was
about
her
the
thing
ghost
all
in
the
her
time.
house.
Well, we're running out of time, but I want to make sure we talk about a few things. For the people out there that want to know how to defend themselves, and we talked a little bit about it, but sometimes we want to defend ourselves, but sometimes we do want those spirits, the good spirits, to come into our lives. How does one such as yourself help both to defend and also to invite spirits into our life?
Okay, so raise your vibration, which means not so much sugar,
How dare you?
but absolutely no illicit drugs. Top 10 of the 10 commandments, don't do any of those. And just try to have integrity. The higher your integrity and the more faith that you have, and being a positive person and bringing that into the world, the easier it is. What we didn't talk about, and of course, buy my book.
Yes,
Yes.
Self-defense, and we're going to have to come back and actually talk a whole hour
Yeah.
on that.
But that's what I would do. And if you go to my website and you sign up for my email, it'll bring you to a page where you have access to a link of a video, which is a clearing. And it's a general clearing first, and then it's like a major clearing after that. And then if you find that you enjoy doing that and you listen to the white light meditation, you enjoy doing that, and you want to do something further, then you can call me and I will take the next step and help you with that. But if you're going to do it on your own, white light meditation, lots of water, sea salt, get in the ocean as often as possible, and just raise your vibration. Be a good person. Do what you know is right. Defend the weak,
So, yeah,
My
that's
father
just
always told me, if you see something happening that you know is wrong and you do nothing against it, you are just as bad as the perpetrator.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, all right, we want to again to tell everybody to go to your website, GeralynSt.Joseph.com.
And Saint is ST.
ST, yes, not spelled out. And also go to Amazon, pick up the books if you want to, or you can go to the website. Any place else that the books are offered?
Well, if you live in York, Pennsylvania, they're at a place called, I keep calling it New Beginnings. That's the name of it. That's not the name of it. Well, the Metaphysical Store in York, Pennsylvania, and it's a really cool place. They are there. I do have the two that are physical, and the rest are all ebooks. And I'm about to come out with another one, which is using the chakra system, but it's 16 chakras, not just the 7.
Oh, wow.
So it's coming fully online.
That's great. That's what I need, some chakras.
You got some chakras.
Well, I got some. I
you just need them cleaned up.
I need them, yeah. A lube job, oil change.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we want to thank you so much for being here, and please come back. You're a delight and a joy, and so much information that we didn't even get to, and we hope you come back.
Thank you very much. See, that's what you got to leave stuff in the book for them to read.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
there
can't talk
you
about
go.
everything. We got
Like
some,
angels and angels of God. Like, what is the difference?
Well, then that's
is the
the
difference?
next time we're going to come back.
Just-
We got to
well,
save
one
something
little
for next
sentence,
time.
just a
okay,
teaser.
all right.
Give
Like,
us a
Next
hint.
time.
Just a hint.
Next time.
Angels of the light. Angels of the light. We're
Angels
waiting.
of God versus fallen angels. What is the difference? I'll give you one hint. You cannot tell energetically.
okay.
Oh,
You can't?
They feel exactly the same. When
Really?
they hear, they're exactly the same.
wow.
See, now that's a teaser right there.
It is.
Yes, it is.
I've been
See, now you're
teased.
going to have me back on. See,
Yeah,
I know.
oh, don't worry. We will have you back. All right. Well, thank you so much. And make sure you go to our website. And Geralyn St. John, we love you to death. And we'll come back soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha.
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 Bye.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have Kayla Ambrose.
That's right.
And give him a little sample of what what she does.
She's going to be doing a lot of stuff, child. First of all, this is one of her books, Spirits of New Orleans, Voodoo Curses, Vampire Legends, and Cities of the Dead. And then she's got Ghost Hunting, North Carolina, where I'm from, the Bible Belt. So watch out. She's going to help you.
Gonna help you.
She has Experiencing the Evolution of Your Energy Body, the Awakened Aura. And one of the things we'll be talking about with her today is 9 life-altering lessons, secrets of the mystery schools, unveiled with Kayla Ambrose.
Kayla, what?
Ambrose.
Oh, Ambrose. I thought she
Ambrose.
said Carlo. Carlo. I thought, who's Carlo?
Kayla. Kayla.
You did say that with kind of an accent.
Did I?
Yeah,
Oh,
just
look,
a little bit.
I'm channeling my Latino lover, okay?
All right, don't go anywhere. Truth be told with Tony and Eddie and
Ellen.
Be right back. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Aloha and welcome. I'm Geralyn St. Joseph, and you are watching